Imagine looking out at a beautiful scenic view and it looking like this, or this, or this. Ah, much better. Unfortunately, for around 1 in 200 women and as many as 1 in 12 men, that's 8% of men, vision that is limited to far fewer colours is an everyday reality. So, colour blindness is a pretty common complaint, and until recently it was completely untreatable. However, a small while ago I stumbled across a few videos that show people trying on revolutionary new colour blindness glasses that appear to cure the ailment, and they clearly work, as the people wearing them are literally brought to tears by the results, which is amazing. But it did leave me asking the question, how the hell do they work? If colour vision relies on the eye to distinguish photons of different wavelengths, then allowing the brain to decipher the signal, creating the perception of a full spectrum of colour, and people with colour blindness have a physical limitation that stops them from receiving certain signals, basically causing a wide range of colours to appear much less dynamic, essentially limiting the amount of colours that can be seen. How on earth can these glasses compensate for that deficiency? I mean, how can they make the eye actually absorb photons any better or differently? How the heck do these, quite frankly, profound results occur? I think I need to get my head around this. Let's investigate. First things first, let's have a rundown of how colour vision works overall, and then we can get a feel for the various causes of colour blindness, just to give an idea of what we're looking at. Excuse the pun. So, the eye, a masterpiece of evolutionary engineering. Such a magnificent piece of kit that it's evolved independently at least 5 times throughout biological history, from cnidarians to annelids, jellyfish and worms, mollusks and arthropods, and of course the vertebrates, of which we are one. So it appears, based on this convergent evolution, that perceiving photons is a pretty useful adaptation in nature. So how do these windows to the soul actually work? Well, looking at a cross section of the eye, you can see all the main structures involved. Light comes in, passing through the cornea, which is a clear layer that bulges out a bit in front of the pupil and iris. It helps a little bit with focusing the light, but the bulk of that is done by the next structure, the lens. This dynamic structure is stretched and squashed by the ciliary muscles to ensure a perfectly focused image is projected onto the retina, which is a highly innervated layer at the back of the eye that is covered with light-sensitive receptors known as rods and cones. These cells are affectionately known as photoreceptors, and they each have slightly different jobs and locations on the retina. Rods are responsible for vision in low light conditions, otherwise known as scotopic vision. They are highly sensitive to light but do not detect colour. Rods are primarily found in the peripheral regions of the retina and are absent from the fovea, the central part of the retina responsible for sharp central vision. Rods can detect very low levels of light, which makes them crucial for night vision. They are more sensitive to movement and provide better peripheral vision. Rods provide vision in dim light with low spatial resolution, so black and white and a little bit blurry, but great for spotting movement. Cones, on the other hand, are responsible for colour vision and high acuity or sharp vision in bright light. This is known as photopic vision. Cones allow us to perceive fine details and colours. They require brighter light to function than rods, making them less useful in low light conditions, but essential for daytime vision and colour discrimination. Cones are concentrated here, in the fovea, where they provide the sharpest and most detailed vision. They're less numerous in the peripheral regions of the retina. In fact, if you outstretch your arm with your thumb up, an area approximately the same size as your thumbnail is your entire region of your sight that is clear and in colour. The rest of your visual field is colourless and blurry. Luckily, our brains do an amazing job of filling in the blanks. In reality, our brains do the lion's share of the work, turning fairly limited signals into rich, colourful, seamless world that we see around us. With this in mind, it's not really surprising that our visual perception can be easily fooled by a whole host of optical illusions. Some signals are hard to interpret, and our brains, the pattern recognition machines that they are, expect certain things or sometimes predict things incorrectly. Can't beat a good optical illusion. Anyway, let's stay on topic. There are 3 types of cone cells, each sensitive to different wavelengths of light, corresponding to red, green and blue. This is known as trichromatic vision, and it enables the perception of a wide range of colours. Most people have these 3 cone types and can detect wavelengths of light in corresponding regions of the visible light spectrum. S cones for short wavelengths in the blue region, M cones for medium wavelengths in the green region, and L cones for long wavelengths in the red spectrum. Each cone expresses a different opsin, a light-sensitive protein that facilitates the detection of the signal. Now, you may have noticed in the intro that it's strikingly more common for men to suffer with colour blindness than their female counterparts. This is not pure coincidence. The reason for this is that the genes that code for the red and green cones both lie on the X chromosome, and as men only have a single copy of the chromosome, any deleterious fault in either one of these genes guarantees colour blindness of one kind or another. Women, on the other hand, have a second X chromosome in their arsenal, which means any defects in the genetic sequence of one of these genes on one X chromosome will most likely be overridden by a good copy of that gene on the other. In fact, in a crazy twist of fate, women have an extra chromosome from which to draw photoreceptors from. They can actually end up with two different red or green cone types that detect slightly different parts of the visible light spectrum. So not only are women far less likely to suffer from colour blindness than men, they also have a chance that they'll perceive far more colours than men with healthy colour vision. It's pretty well known that women seem to be able to distinguish shades better than men. This has become abundantly clear when picking out paint colours with a wife.
Do you prefer Whispering Wheat, Vanilla Daydream or Lazy Latte?
Vanilla Daydream?
And that's why we're soulmates.
Joking aside, many women can genuinely distinguish colours better than men, and many females are tetrachromats. Instead of having the bog standard trichromatic vision, it's kind of a superpower for colour coordination. Anyway, as I was saying earlier, deficiencies in colour perception occur when there's a defect in one or more photoreceptor types, blue, green or red. Dichromatism is where only two cone types work, and monochromatism is where one or none of the cone types work. Anomalous trichromacy occurs when all cones are present, but one of the cone's light sensitivity is altered, creating a reduced colour spectrum. This is one of the most common types of colour blindness, as it creates impairment in hue differentiation of colours rather than a complete loss of colours. These issues lead to a few distinct types of colour blindness. Protanopia, which is a reduction of sensitivity to red light, deuteranopia, which is a reduction of sensitivity to green light, and tritanopia, which is a reduction of sensitivity to blue light, and monochromacy, which is a loss of sensitivity to light of any colour. In this case, the world is in black and white. As you can see from the diagram, the world would look very different with these palettes. Although, if it's all you've ever known, you probably wouldn't mind. However, jobs in a field that require you to be able to discern between different colours, such as jobs in design or working with colour-coded wires as an electrician, for example, might be a little more challenging or downright impossible. But with new technological advances, such as the aforementioned glasses used to treat colour blindness, these limitations might be a thing of the past. You can diagnose whether you have colour blindness by completing some of these tests. They're known as Ishihara colour plate tests. You've probably seen them before, no doubt. All you have to do is identify the numbers hidden in the coloured bubbly diagrams. To be honest, some of them are quite hard to see. I suppose that's the point. But if there are any you can't see at all, it could indicate an issue with your colour vision, and it might be worth having a chat with your doctor. So, we have an idea of how our eyes see colour and the potential defects that might prevent us from experiencing the full spectrum. So, how exactly do these newfangled glasses improve the situation? How do they work? Well, the first thing you need to understand is that colour is not real. Colour is simply a representation of the visible spectrum of light created inside our brain. People with healthy trichromatic vision have cones that absorb light in discrete separate parts of the spectrum, which is important because that generates contrast between the signals. The bigger the difference, the more distinct the colours can be. 4 out of 5 cases of colour blindness are actually caused through too much overlap of light absorption between the red and the green cones. This vastly reduces the proportion of hues that can be perceived. But cleverly, the lenses in the glasses are made to filter out wavelengths in the region where the red and green overlap. This increases the contrast between the red and green hues, and the brain as a result interprets the differences in those signals and creates far more colours in order to make sense of it. This obviously doesn't work in every case, only red-green colour blindness in people with all 3 working cones, anomalous trichromacy. But nevertheless, it's pretty impressive. It must be an amazing feeling to broaden your senses like this, which explains the emotional nature of some of the reaction videos I've seen. In a way, the way these things work is not dissimilar from how optical illusions operate. They exploit the way that our visual system and brain process information. Both illusions and the glasses trick our perception, exploiting the mechanics of our sensory and interpretive system, causing us to see things differently. Pretty cool, eh? Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe and let us know what you think of these new glasses in the comments. Bye.